Spring officially arrived this past Sunday, and one of our traditions here on Weather World as the seasons change is to check in with our resident astronomer, Dr. Chris Palma from the Penn State Department of Astronomy and Astrophysics. He's also Associate Dean for undergraduate students in the Eberly College of Science. Welcome back. Good to see you, Chris.
Thank you.
So the last time we talked, can't believe it was before Christmas, and the James Webb Space Telescope was within a few days of launch. A lot has happened since then with the telescope. Can you bring us up to speed?
Yeah. There's very much excitement in the astronomy community. James Webb has made it out to where it's supposed to be orbiting. Everything we're learning about the telescope is that it has plenty of fuel, it's in the right place, its optics and instruments so far seem to be checking out, and the really great news is it's ready for science. We're going to start getting some of our first images taken for research purposes this summer.
So we're talking about a telescope that's 1 million miles from Earth, and it has a very sophisticated set of mirrors. Talk about the different steps that have been necessary to align and test the mirrors so that NASA gets what it wants.
Yeah. And I think this is an interesting topic because people probably remember Hubble was not perfect. But the nice thing about Hubble was that Hubble was in an orbit where we could get to it and repair it. James Webb is not. So we have to get things right remotely from Earth. James Webb also has these 18 mirrors. So you might think like, oh, you just have to focus the mirror. You turn a knob and you point it and then it's right. All 18 mirror segments have to be pointed at the same object to incredible precision in order to return back the data we need about these astronomical objects. So a lot of effort is going into focusing these individual mirror segments to bring it all into alignment to work as one coherent telescope. And the great news is our first calibrations seem excellent.
So this is a very complex space-based telescope that we cannot get to repair.
Correct.
Okay. One of the benefits of working at a university, you and I both attend special lectures, seminars, stay up to speed on the science. You mentioned that recently you had attended a talk focused on policy issues regarding space. What were some of the takeaways?
Yeah. So this was great. I got to hear from one of our alumni. She works with a trade organization that works with government groups. And my big takeaway was, I'm so used to thinking of space and thinking of NASA, right? NASA works with human spaceflight. It puts up these telescopes that we all work with. But you know, space is so embedded in our everyday lives. Everybody who uses GPS is using satellite communications. In weather forecasting, you use satellites all the time. Farmers are making huge use of images of Earth taken from space and GPS systems. The military uses GPS. So her biggest point was, anytime space is being discussed, in the US it means the Department of Commerce is involved, the FDA is involved, NOAA and NASA, Congress, the President's office. So any change regarding to how we use space requires a huge number of government agencies to coordinate.
And you haven't even mentioned the international aspect of this. I mean, there are potential satellite collisions. There's space debris. There's planning necessary for deorbiting satellites. And this has to be coordinated internationally.
Yeah. So we're not the only one launching satellites, right? So there are satellites in the similar orbits from Russia, from China, from lots of other countries. And so occasionally satellites near a collision, and so we have to be able to reach our Chinese counterparts and say, one of us needs to move our satellite or something bad's is going to happen. So coming back to your point about space debris, there have been situations where things have broken, there are abandoned rocket bodies. We need to get those back down to Earth. And so we need to come up with a solution internationally for how to deorbit obsolete, dead satellites in a way that all of us agree on, and that also doesn't make it such that it makes it harder for us to launch new things in the future.
Right. You can make a good argument that for the need for the so-called Space Force.
Yes.
We always like to hear about some of the interesting research that you are affiliated with, particularly if it involves Penn Staters. What caught your eye in the last couple months?
So this is something at other institutions, but some of our alumni have been involved in. One of the really fun things when thinking about astronomy, we always talk about big numbers, right? This star is going to live for 10 billion years. The universe is 14 billion years old. But did you know that sometimes objects in space flash in milliseconds, right? We're so used to finding things that are going to glow forever, it's really hard for us to catch things that just burst and are gone. But there are these objects called fast radio bursts. So they emit radio waves detected by radio telescopes, and they happen all over the sky. So some of our alumni are deeply involved in identifying what are these mysterious objects that are giving off these very quick bursts of radio waves. It looks like they are related to magnetized neutron stars, which are some really fun objects to study.
Sounds like it's kind of the exact opposite of the supernova, which just blows up and then glows. And these are measured in milliseconds. Anything that our viewers could be looking at sky watching wise in the next couple weeks, month?
Well, you know, I'm a nighttime observer, so I always look at the sky before I go to bed. But I know that lots of you out there are those early morning people. You might be up before dawn to go for a jog or a walk. This is the time of year when Venus is really high in the southeastern sky right before dawn. So if you're a morning person, look for the morning star, really a morning planet, Venus. It glows incredibly brightly. So you might mistake it for a plane. You might mistake it for something odd in the sky, but it's the planet Venus, early morning in March.
All right, southeast part of the sky. Dr. Chris Palma, Penn State Department of Astronomy and Astrophysics, always great to have you back on set. We will be back in a moment with more.